There are many things that make you want to watch anime. Good setting, decent story, great visuals, amazing sound, all these factors come into play. But arguably the most important element is its character roster. Characters are the core of every anime. A good character roster can make an anime decent no matter how unoriginal or unappealing the story is. At the same time, terrible characters can hurt even the most well thought out of plots. As impressive as protagonists can be, I'm sure that everyone loves villains just as much. And while I would love to make a straight on top 10 villains list, I decided to take a spin on the idea and go for a top 10 unexpected villains list. To clarify, by unexpected villains I mean the characters that surprised me the most when they were first revealed as being villains. But before getting to the list, let me just set a few clauses. Firstly, there will not be any quote-unquote evil protagonists, including but not limiting to Lelouch Light. Secondly, since I'll be explaining why these villains' revelation surprised me the most, there will inevitably be spoilers, and for that I apologize. Lastly, this is a list based solely on my opinion. If it does not coincide with your list, don't hesitate to leave your thoughts and comments below. Anyway, with that out of the way, let us get this show on the road. Also, on a side note, I have not watched every anime out there, so if you think I left out one of your favorite unexpected anime villains, please take that into consideration. With all that said, at number 10 we find Sho Tucker from Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. FMAB fixed up most of the issues that the original anime had, and god did they finally do Sho Tucker right. Of course, many of you have probably forgotten about Sho Tucker, and frankly, I would understand why. His role in the story isn't exactly the most important, and on a scale wise, his crimes don't really stack up to most others on the list. To refresh your memory, Sho Tucker is a state alchemist who's gained his title through his research and his success in creating the very first talking chimera. Ring any bells yet? Anyway, Sho has fallen to a state of anxiety since he hasn't succeeded in making anything new in recent times and might potentially lose his status as a state alchemist. In the end, he succeeds in creating a new talking chimera, but as our main characters would discover, it turns out that Sho Tucker had succeeded by merging his daughter with his dog, forever forsaking both. You have to realize that this came out in manga back in 2002 when I was still like 10 years old and had only scratched the surface of the medium. This one event that had happened so early on in the series had shocked me and frightened me so much that I had shelved it and not touched for over 3 years before I finally grew enough courage to pick it back up. And for that, first I have to say fuck you Tucker, and second I have to give him a place on this list. Continuing on to number 9, we have a tie between two characters from the same series, Gurren Lagann. Sharing the spot are Rossiu and the Anti-Spirals. I'm taking the word unexpected and stretching it out for this one. Rossiu is here because he pretty much goes against the main theme of Gurren Lagann, with that being the sacred and holy bro code. After having finally defeated the Lord Genome, Simon and friends form a city and run the place as well as they can. Then we have Rossiu, who forgets who saves his life and pretty much frames Simon in order to take control. Bro, that's not cool. This asshole apart, we have Anti-Spirals. Now, this one is here solely on the unexpected factor. When Lord Genome was defeated, I had wondered what exactly could the next few episodes possibly have Simon and Fred's face again. Of course, the most obvious thing was Anti-Spirals. I mean, how did I not see that coming? It was so obvious with the drilling and the genome and the spirals and the stuff. All that bullshit aside, yeah, I did not expect Anti-Spirals, and to them I say, give me back Nia. Moving on to number 8, we have Felix Walken, better known as the Rail Tracer, from Baccano. With Baccano remaining one of the most plot twist heavy series that I had ever had the pleasure of watching, there had to be someone on it that gets here. Felix Walken started the series out as one of the conductors on the train called, wait for it, the Flying Pussyfoot. Anyway, there turns out to have a sort of war between multiple groups on the train, and Felix was shown with a gun pointed towards his face with nowhere left to run. Then, all of a sudden, he manages to overcome his assailant and reveals himself to be the Rail Tracer, a being known to go from train to train, murdering people however he wants. The thing that sold this guy was the incredible contrast. One episode, we still see the good old honest conductor, then 2 episodes later, we see him crawl from train cabin to train cabin, throwing people off onto the railroads. This guy was frankly awesome. Marching on to number 7, we have Yuno Gasai from the Future Diary series. Now, Yuno is a compulsive killer whose only real leash is her love interest Yuki. She effectively kills off dozens of people in order to keep her man safe, and the two have finally become one near the end of the show. Then all of a sudden, Yuki accidentally lets something out, and Yuno takes out an axe that she was hiding God knows where, and gets ready to murder him. The only real reason why this surprised me is because of how much of a 180 Yuno makes. Just a few episodes ago, we saw her deflect bullets just to get complimented by her man, and now she was ready to hack him off. Granted, she doesn't stay the villain forever, but Yuno still isn't quite my waifu. At number 6, we find Ryuk from Death Note, who is the one that finally claims the life of light during the epic struggle between him and L. If you answered L, I would like it if you would please leave this video now. No, it's Ryuk, the apple-loving, black-lived, pierce-faced devil that plays both the smallest role and the biggest role. His role in the series goes from the catalyst that changes our main character, to Light's little helper, to the Grim Reaper. There was no foreshadowing done, since he said it clearly early on that he'll be the one to reap Light's soul. Yet when he did, I have to honestly say, I did not expect it. Continuing on to number 5, we have CP9 from One Piece. After having your ship shot up by a geyser, beating a godlike figure, and falling back down with a parachute squid, what exactly do you want to do? Well, getting some repairs for your ship would be nice. While you do that, how about we throw a secret squad called the CP9 out against you, and then build up to find out who the CP9 are when things actually start going haywire, and then realize that it's the guys who were supposed to fix your ship. Now, there's a lot of factors that went into making them surprises. First and foremost is that I personally never expected this from One Piece. One Piece, known for its happy-go-lucky attitude and feel, never invited any suspicions on these characters that seemed maybe not friendly, but at least neutral. Granted, the fights are a plus, so yeah. Anyway, next at number 4, we have another shared seat with Wrath and Pride from Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood/manga. Now, after finally picking up FMA again, I was sure I was ready for anything. I read through amazing events, awesome characters, great fights, and one by one, the 7 sins were being revealed. Yet only when Wrath gets revealed that readers come to understand how deep Father's reach can actually get. I mean, who would have thought that the Führer, I'm just gonna say Führer, could actually be a homunculus. There are many factors that come together to make him a surprise. First, he ages, which is a major difference from the other near immortal homunculi. Secondly, he acts as a sort of father figure for our main characters, seeming both gentle and kind, yet having a place of respect from everyone. Pride follows a similar pattern. After the shocker that is Wrath, who could have guessed that the final homunculus would be a little boy? It goes farther than just the character itself, it's how it was done. Until that point, the Führer's family was presented as more or less peaceful and caring, with the Führer's wife playing a wonderful role in all this. Yet again, Fullmetal, you surprised me. Following up at number 3 is Griffith from the Berserk series. Berserk has some of the most memorable and well-written characters, so it's without a doubt that it has a good villain, but never could have believed how much of a villain he would be. Although I do believe now that he is among the best anime and manga villains ever, the only reason why he's still here at number 3 is that there's an obvious build-up of his change from friend to foe. However, of everyone on this list, this guy is probably the biggest scumbag of the group, and if you don't know why, well, you should check Berserk out. Coming in close at number 2 is the giant tentacruel from Pokemon. Now, hear me out. This episode was actually banned from airing, so you know that this is something special. This episode first aired back in 1998 in English, although I only got to watch it in the early 2000s, around the age of 10 or something like that. And I mean, I came to love the anime, before it became shit. Ash and friends would meet a minor villain, solve the problem more or less, and carry on with their lives, all while telling us how you should take care of Pokemon and give them love and all that bullcrap. Yet in this one episode, we find a giant squid sending out his army of smaller squid to conquer a city, wrecking buildings and kidnapping people. I mean, how awesome is that? They just screwed over everything that the series was striving for in a single episode. And for that, I placed this as number 2, and yes, my opinions did play heavily in this one. Sitting on the top at number 1 is Aizen from the Bleach series. Not the butterfly, but the one before Bleach became complicated as hell. In all honesty, Aizen was the one that first made me think of making this list, and his revelation as the main villain remains one of the most memorable scenes in all anime and manga, period. Hate the series, love the series, it's hard to deny that this is one of the biggest plot twists in the entire franchise. Apart from that, it was all done in a way that made Aizen simply tower over every other character in the series till that point in the story, having him wreck everyone barely moving his finger. There was no foreshadowing, or if there was, I was probably way too dumb to notice. There was no build-up, it all just came crumbling down on readers, becoming and remaining one of the biggest shockers for me. Well, there you go guys, this was my list of the top 10 unexpected villains. And as hard as it was to simply rank these 10 guys, it was even harder to choose these 10 from the hundreds of wonderful villains, so don't be too pissed off if your favorite character ain't here. Thank you all for watching my video. I usually do reviews on Saturdays, but I'll be trying to upload more content more often. If you did enjoy this video, please leave a like or subscribe, since that goes a long way in motivating me to make more content. Anyway guys, thank you all for watching. This has been Yvern and my box.